Hello and welcome. Hello, how are you all doing today? You're joining us live at Automation Fair in Philadelphia. And although Automation Fair, the show, doesn't officially start till tomorrow morning, we've actually had a Process Solutions User Group, or PSUG as we like to call it, that's been going on for the last 2 days that just wrapped up. And because of that, we've asked Blair Wilson and Chris Stern to join us to give us a little bit about what happened at PSUG, what they're excited about, and what things you might want to know and learn more about in the future. So, Blair, tell us. You've been at Rockwell for about 3 years. Is this the third PSUG you've been to?
Second.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what PSUG is. Some of the folks who are tuning in might never have heard about it.
So PSUG is our Process Systems Users Group, or Process Solutions Users Group. We bring a bunch of people together. We do tech sessions, customer sessions, technical labs, and we get to interact. Really the big point is, aside from the presentations and things like that, you get to interact with people from different industries, different geographies. All the sessions are very interactive. And really what I took away is that everybody comes from different positions and different perspectives and industry or roles. But when you bring your problems forward or you ask questions, everybody sort of has the same problems. They're just looking at it from different viewpoints. And it was really, really helpful.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing organization that's been growing really over the last 10 years, I think. Chris, I hear this is not only your first PSUG event, but that you've actually only been part of the Rockwell community for about 3 months. Can you tell us your perspective about the event?
Yeah, thank you. So this is my first one. The interesting piece was I wasn't the only new one here, right? So a good, I'd say, third of our customers at least, sort of my unofficial survey in my sessions, were new as well. So we have lots of customers coming together, doing the sharing that Blair was talking about. It was a wonderful event. I was particularly fond of the hands-on labs. So that's something I've been involved in other user forums like this over my career. And that's a really unique feature that Rockwell's doing with this users group that really brings a lot of value to the customers.
Yeah, I think one of the exciting things, as you mentioned, Blair, is there's all different types of sessions that, based on what you're learning about, you've got so many options. The tech sessions, the hands-on labs. There's also a lot of customer presenting on their application success.
Yes.
Did you guys have a chance to go to any of the customer sessions?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And was there any one that you specifically went to that you were like, this is really interesting about what they're talking about? I guess they're all interesting.
They're all interesting. The one that stands out for me is the DuPont one. They did a multi-site migration. It was really interesting to hear about the different ways that they were able to tie in all their power products now under this new plant PAX architecture and get all the extra information, the reduced wiring. They really saw an advantage to this. And then on top of that, for the HMI, switching to the new grayscale style graphics, they were really surprised in how easily their operators took to them, and they were really expecting a challenge, but there wasn't.
Yeah, it sounds like sometimes people are a little bit nervous about going to that next type of technology. How are you changing for my operators? I think, Chris, you went to several sessions too, and you saw some themes that were coming through on that kind of user interface element. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you saw in some of the customer sessions?
Right, so I went to, I think, 3 different customer sessions, all, as you said, talking about successful implementations. Of course, when they talk through their successful implementations, they also highlight things that might have been a challenge or things that they really had to work at. And the interesting theme was, much like Blair was just describing, was that the new style graphics, so Rockwell's enabled in our Plant PAX library the ability to deploy graphical objects that meet industry standards. Well, they're a big change. The operations teams are often long-tenured folks. They sit behind the same solution for often decades. And so getting changes through with those folks can often be a challenge. And unlike Blair's experience with the DuPont presentation that he saw, the customers that I listened to all struggled with this. So it was interesting, and they started collaborating to talk through how they might actually help improve the adoption of that style of graphic. So it was really good to see that collaboration, and it's exactly what the customers were paying for. How do I actually fix my problems? Collaboration, learning how others have done it, really made a big difference.
I think it's so awesome that at the user group, it is about all the different users engaging with each other, not just with Rockwell and our partners. It's really this collaborative area. And I think given some of the new technologies that's out there, it is overwhelming for a lot of folks. And it does come down to how do you bring together the new technology really with the people and the process with that technology, people, process, and technology together. You can't do any one thing without it. So I think one of the things you were talking about is, in addition to looking at how do you get to that new technology, you have to think about how do you enable your employees and help them feel comfortable in this journey that we're all on. So I think one of the things that you also mentioned was that you did a presentation this week, Chris. How did that feel? What did you talk about? What was it like standing up after being new in the organization, talking about your new focus area?
Yeah, so I was able to present about some of the Plant PAX virtualization templates that are available to speed up that implementation of a Plant PAX system, and go through some of the recent changes with our version 4.5 release. So that was really, it was interesting to, one, not only be able to present to this great group of people, but to also have that collaboration and get the feedback on what's working well for them, where our changes have made a difference. Because these different versions the changes have come through feedback with them and understanding what they need done differently.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of that. The Process Solutions User Group got started to really get more customer feedback to make sure what the development teams are bringing forward to the market actually will work. And it's been great to see the evolution through the years. I wanted to step back to another area we haven't talked about yet. In addition to all the technical sessions, hands-on labs, customer sessions, we also have several keynotes that usually start the event. This year, I've been told I would have really liked the presentation, so I'm going to have to go check it out. But Nancy Giordano, who's a corporate strategist, talked about the 7 technologies that are changing everything. Yeah. What did you think about the presentation? Did you have any takeaways?
I thought it was really good. The presentation for me, the takeaway was that Rockwell is changing as a company. We're embracing change, and we're trying to think differently about how we do things. And that is a change from how Rockwell has been historically, or traditionally, and I think it's a really good message.
That's great. What about you, Chris?
The thing that Nancy left in my mind was a couple of words, and that was to be audacious. And so I think that message really is about, we can't just keep doing things the way we have. That's what I was
love that. Say it, ambiguity. I'm going to have to work on that one. Embrace it, embrace the change. And I think what we're all seeing is that technology is moving so fast right now, not only for us, but for our customers. And yet there's a fear that if we don't embrace this change, we're going to be left behind. How do you stay competitive globally with all the different competitions that's coming out across all industries, all geographies? So how do we think about utilizing this fast-paced changing market to our benefit? And I think you brought up the other area that was discussed today was with John Genovese from Rockwell Automation and Howard Heppelman from PTC. And there's so much excitement about the collaboration between Rockwell and PTC. How was the reaction of the audience and for you guys when they stood up together and talked about the impact of smart production?
I think it's showing that Rockwell is embracing that change and investing in change. That was a huge investment for Rockwell to take on that partnership with PTC. And it's just shows how much we're investing in change and the future for what our customers are and where things are going. That IT-OT relationship, where we sort of are owning the OT side and they bring in this IT expertise. And the two companies have very similar goals as companies. And now together we're able to tackle it from a team effort.
I think it's super exciting. Chris, anything to add to that?
I guess the only thing I can add is obviously, his talk followed Nancy Giordano's session. And so it was, again, it's an audacious move, right? So this is Rockwell's offering now that will obviously make the customers able to take those big steps, go that next mile, get that data analytics, the extra data, the things that they need to make those decisions to be as competitive in their environment, in their industries.
Yeah, I think it's super exciting, and even more exciting is that we announced this what, maybe less than 6 months ago.
Yep.
And already on the show floor tomorrow, people are going to really be able to see the Rockwell PTC Collaboration in action. We've got it in multiple booths around the show floor. It's super exciting just to see that this is not just a partnership on paper. This is really something that's tangible. Both companies are committed to putting lots of investment into it. So it's really fun to be here and see more of what's happening. So much happening at PSUG event, but I hear there was an amazing network event last night, something I definitely missed out on and need to get in on next year. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened for the people who are viewing this session right now? They might not know there's also fun happening at this event.
Well, it's certainly not just about work.
No.
So, you know, it's a long day at PSUG, sharing and being involved in these meetings and these discussions. So yes, fun's a big part of it. And Philadelphia is a wonderful city. It's alive. There's a lot of diversity in the city.
A lot of history.
Exactly.
It's
and then
really beautiful.
Reading Terminal is where we all met last night. You know, 900 of us or so, right?
What is it?
It's like a big indoor market. There's different food stalls and restaurants and handicrafts and artwork and things like that. And they opened it all up to us, just for us as a private event. There was food, there was drinks. It was really, and you just were able to mingle in a very relaxed atmosphere and reflect on everything that had happened.
That's awesome. Yeah, I heard there were over 900 participants from like 32 countries, 16 industries. That's a pretty amazing group of folks. So tell me, getting all those folks together, not just at the social last night, but during the event, what is it like bringing that diverse community together? I mean, can they speak the same language? Not literally, but related to process and what's happening in the market and what their needs are. What was it like having that group of folks together this year?
Well, Rockwell's a global company. We're in all these different places already, but putting us all together really showcases that we do speak the same language when it comes to process, right? It doesn't matter where you are.
If you say process.
Yes.
It's process versus something else.
Sorry, I'm from Canada.
I love it. I knew it.
So yeah, the interesting thing is the industries are very much the same around the world. We might speak different languages, look a little different, what have you, but we're dealing with a lot of the same issues. And so I think it's helpful if you're a manufacturer somewhere here in the States to understand that your problems are maybe not necessarily unique, and that an organization like Rockwell can help you solve it, because we've helped this guy over here in China do it, and he's sharing how he's done that here at an event like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's where some of that comes across.
I think that's great. Okay, lastly, we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
If you were to wish that your customers were to take one thing away from PSUG this year, what would it be?
I think in coming to PSUG, you realize that Rockwell is really interested in hearing what you have to say as a customer. They don't want this to be a one-way dialogue for PSUG. They want it as interactive as possible. They want your feedback. And the following year, they'll even talk about, you know, these features came from the discussions we had last year. And that's really empowering to your customer.
Yeah, I really can't say much differently there. I think that collaboration and interaction with peers in other industries, other geographies, it's just really valuable to help you solve the problems that maybe you haven't solved, but somebody else has. So I think that's really a key part of the whole user group experience.
Well, Blair and Chris, I just want to thank both of you for joining us here to talk about PSUG. It's been great having you. And for all of our viewers, I want to thank you for tuning in. And please keep tuning in. We're going to have a lot of other great videos throughout the next couple days. Thanks so much for having us.